Good morning, guys. Happy Thursday. You should have completed your do now. Again, it's on scientific notation. This is one of the learning targets that we did not do too well on, so that's why we are spiraling back to review it. Again, let's remember that our formula for scientific notation, it leads off with a number between 1 and 10 times 10 to a power. If it goes to the left, it is negative. If it moves to the right, it is positive for the power. So here we have 923. It does not have a decimal point. So the decimal point goes at the very end of your number. Let's move it. 1, 2. So we had to go 2 spaces. And 9 and 23 hundredths is our leading number. To go from this decimal to your original one, we moved it to the right. And it was 2 spaces. So it's 10 to the second power. Because if we move the decimal point 2 spaces, 1, 2, we're back to our original number. Okay, this one already has a decimal point. So if the number already has a decimal point, we know we're going to have to move it until we get to a number between 1 and 10. So if we start here, no. Here, no. What about here? Yes. 4 and 25 hundredths will be our leading number. Okay. We're going to start here and go here to get back to our original. So that means we have to go to the left, which means it's going to be a negative exponent. And we know the exponent by how many spaces we move. 1, 2, 3. So 4 and 25 hundredths times 10 to the negative 3. My next number does not have a decimal point. So where are we going to put the decimal point? At the end. Very good. Okay. Now let's move it until we get a number between 1 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, finally, right here. So we're going to take these numbers, 4.523, 4 and 523 thousandths times 10. How many spaces did we move from this new point to our original one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 10 to the 6th power. So we have to go from there to there. So that's why it's positive. Right? This number already has a decimal point, but we need to move it so that we have that number between 1 and 10. So let's go. If I move it here, is this number 9 and 43 hundredths? Is that between 1 and 10? Yes, it's like $9.43. So my leading number is going to be 9 and 43 hundredths times 10. How many spaces did we go from this new point to the original? 1, but we went to the left, so it's going to be a negative 1. Okay, my final one, 6,750. My decimal point is here. We need to get between 1 and 10. So let's move it. 1, 2. We get here. We have 6 and 75 hundredths. How many spaces did we move it in which direction? We're going to the right from this new to my original to the right, so it's going to be positive. 1, 2, 3 spaces times 10 to the 3rd power. Okay, so that should do now for today. That should go into your math folder. And so today, for Thursday, March 23rd, your assignment is going to be to take these notes on similar figures, the practice, and practical problems, which means the practical problems will be word problems. And once you finish taking those notes, you're going to go back to, well, you're going to submit it first, and then you're going to go back to Canvas and click on the Quizzes, which is on similar figures, which will let me know whether or not I need to send you additional practice work for you to be able to master this on the mastery check on Monday. Okay, so after we take these notes, you're going to go to the Canvas and go to the Quizzes. And then if you finish the Quizzes before class is up, you'll go back to Wednesday's classwork practice and work on that to finish that up. All right, so let's get started with our practice on similar figures. Again, similar figures have same shape but different sizes, okay? To find the missing side length, you got to remember that side lengths are proportional. So for each one, you're going to write a proportion, okay? Now I'm going to use a blue and this orangish color, colored pencil to match up my side lengths so you will know how to set up your proportion, okay? When you set up your proportion, you want to do the side lengths, match the side lengths that have a side measure to them, okay? So for my small one, I'm going to do this side right here, matches with this one. And the reason I know that is because this angle has 2 and that angle has 2. And then this side here at the bottom matches with this side here with that 1 angle. Okay? So my blue to blue and my orange to orange to set up my proportion. So here we go. 4 is to 6. So the blue to blue, 4 is to 6 as my 8 is to the x. And we're going to solve this to find out what the value of that x is. Again, we're going to do our butterfly for proportions. Draw my little antennas. All right, what is 4 times x? Correct, 4x. What is 6 times 8? 48. We know once we cross multiply, this side equals that side. So let's write that. 4x equals 48. Isolate my variable. What am I dividing both sides by? 4. 4 divided by 4 leaves me with this x. What is 48 divided by 4? Hope you're using your Desmos if you don't know this. So x is equal to 12. And our unit of measure is meters. So 12 meters is the answer for that one. All right, we're going to look at number 2 now. Okay, let's look at number 2. I'm going to go ahead and match up my sides. This side, this smaller side, to this side over here. Again, if I was to cut this out and lay it in there, this side and this side would match. And then this bottom one, and I'm making sure I'm using the ones that have measurements attached to them. So again, my faint orange is going to go to orange and blue is going to go to blue. So let's set this up. 4.2. That side is to this side here, which is 21. It's going to equal this side here, which is x, over this side here, which is 10. Okay. Now we're going to do our butterfly method. Cross multiplying. Antenna. All right. 4.2 times 10. You use your Desmos, you get 42. And then what's 21 times x? 21x. We know that those equal. All right. So I'm going to write it just as it's here. 42 is equal to 21x. Isolate my variable. What am I dividing both sides by? Of course, 21. All right. So 21 divided by 21 leaves me with my x. 42 divided by 21 is 2. And that's the same thing as x is equal to 2. And this is meters as well. All right, you can pause the video if you have to make sure everybody is caught up with the answer to that one. If you color code your sides, then you won't have problems setting up your proportions to solve for the missing side length. Alrighty, slide this up a little bit. Let's look at problem number 3. Let's code it again. So this large one to this small one. So this side here goes to this side here. And then for my other side, the bottoms both have measures. All right. So this color to this color. So you're going to have 15 is to 5 as the 6 is to x. Let's cross multiply. Draw my antennas on my butterfly. 15 times x gives me 15x. 5 times 6 gives me 30. So my equation is 15x equals 30. Okay, isolate my variable. I'm dividing both sides by 15. These two cancel out. I'm left with 30 divided by 15 is 2. And these are inches. So this would be 2 inches for that triangle. All right, you may pause the video to make sure everybody's caught up for number 3. All right, let's look at number 4. This one is done the same way. If I was to cut this triangle out and put it inside this triangle, I flip it around so that my angle measures are matching. Then we would see that this side here is going to match up with this side here. And then again, this side here is going to match up with this side here. Then I'm going to write my proportion according to how I matched up my sides. So x is to 10.5 as 3 is to 6. Okay, x to 10.5, and then this side to that side. Okay. Now let's get ready to cross multiply. We're going to cross multiply. We got butterfly wings. Antenna. 6 times x gives you 6x. 10.5 times 3 gives you 31 and 5/10. If you put that into your decimals correctly. Write this. 6x equals 31 and 5/10. So let's isolate our variable. What am I dividing both sides by? Correct, 6. These two cancel out. Here I'm left with x. In your decimals, put in 31 and 5/10 divided by 6. Your answer should be 5/2500. These are meters. Don't forget to put your unit of measurement in. You can pause the video. To make sure everybody gets that. Righty. This one here, put a star on it because this is another one that's SOL. Okay? So if I look at this and look for my big triangle, it's going to be this and this. This is my big triangle. Okay? Now, since this is my big triangle, for this side, I need to add that 12 plus that 4. And that gives me 16. So this whole side length here is going to be 16. That looks like a 10, but that's a 16. Okay? Now my small triangle is here and here. Does everybody see that? So if I was cut this small triangle out and sit it inside here, they would match up like that. Right? So let's match up. Oops, wrong pen. Let's match up our orange to orange, blue to blue. So orange to orange is going to be 4 is to x as this whole side here for my large one, which is 16. And then what is this side length here? 18. Good job. Okay, so again, this small triangle is similar to this large one. To get the side length of this large one, we have to add both pieces to get the total. So this whole length of this large one is 16 inches. Okay, so don't forget that part. So now let's cross multiply. Antenna. All right, what's 4 times 18 in your decimals? 72. Oops, 72. And then what's 16 times x? 16x. So we know these two are going to equal. So we have 72 equals 16x. Isolate the variable. What am I dividing both sides by? 16. All right, what's 72 divided by 16? Put that in your decimals, please. I don't want you guessing and coming up with the wrong answer. 4 and 5/10. 16 divided by 16 is 1, so we're left with my x. So the answer is x equals 4 and 5/10 inches. So the measure of this side of that triangle is 4.5 inches. You may pause the video to catch up. And then we have this last one on this practice page. First thing I'm going to do is color code my triangles. This side, that side, and that side. So if I was to cut this out and flip that in, this side would match up with this side. Okay? And then this side here is going to match up with this side here. So now let's write our proportion. Orange to orange, blue to blue. So 2 is to 22. It's the same thing as 10 is to that x. That's your proportion. Now let's cross multiply. 2 times x. 2x. 22, excuse me, times 10. Correct, 220. And these two equals. So we have 2x equals 220. Isolate our variable. What am I dividing both sides by? Correct, 2. These cancel out. 220 divided by 2 is 110. And what unit of measure are we using? Centimeters. All right. You may pause the video. Make sure everybody's up to date, and then everybody should go to the next page so that we can complete those notes and you'll be ready, excuse me, to do your quiz on Quizizz. Okay, here's some more practice. These are word problems, which in Virginia they call them practical problems. So let's see what we have. Brisbane and Mount Pleasant are excuse me, excuse my throat, are 6 inches apart on a map that has a scale of 1 inch to 11 miles. So the question is, how far apart are the real cities? So if it tells you there's a scale, we are comparing inches to miles. So therefore, we can set up our proportion using that information. So we know that these two cities are 6 inches apart. So where's my 6 going? It's going in the numerator because that's where inches are. Okay? Do we know how many miles it is? No. So we're going to put this X. And then they told us that our scale was 1 to 11. So 1 to 11. All right. So now we need to do our butterfly. And we can solve it. 6 times 11 is 66. 1 times X is 1X or just X. So if I bring this down, I have 66 equals X. Do I need to do anything else? No, but we'll change it here the way that we're used to seeing. So 66, the X is in miles, so they are 66 miles apart. So to ask how far apart, answer is 66 miles. For number 2, a model train is 5 inches tall. If it was built with a scale of 1 inch to 2 feet, then how tall is the real train? All right, so my scale, we look for that. If they give you a scale, we got inches to feet. Inches to feet. If you set up your ratio, you won't go wrong with setting up your proportion. So let's set up our proportion. So they said it is 5 inches tall. The scale is 1 inch to 2 feet. So if it's 5 inches tall, the 5 is going here. We don't know how tall it is, how many feet it is. And then our scale again is 1 to 2. Okay? You could have put the scale first and then put the 5 feet over X. Either way, it's going to come out for the same answer. Let's make our butterfly. What's 5 times 2? What is 1 times X? Just X. So if I get this, I'm going to have 10 equals X. The same thing with X equals 10. The X is under feet, so it is 10 feet. We didn't have to do any division to find the answer on that one, on 1 or 2. Okay, because our scale was 1 to 2 here and 1 to 11 there, so we didn't have to do any more calculations. Number 3, a 3-foot tall globe standing next to a statue casts a 1-foot shadow. If the statue is 18 feet tall, then how long is the shadow? So we're talking about feet and the shadow, right? So feet over shadow. And let's set up our proportion. A 3-foot tall globe. So this globe is 3 feet. Does it say about the shadow? Yes. It casts a 1-foot. Let me underline that. Casts a 1-foot shadow. So a 3-foot tall globe casts a 1-foot shadow. If the statue is 18 feet tall, so the 18 is going to go here. Do we know how long the shadow? How long is the shadow? No, so we're going to put the variable, and you know I always use X. Let's do a butterfly. What's 3 times X? What's 1 times 18? So if we drop this down, 3X equals 18. Isolate my variable. What am I dividing both sides by? 3. 3 divided by 3 leaves me with my X. What's 18 divided by 3? 6. What unit of measure are we using? Feet. So the shadow will be 6 feet. All right, I'll take a pause so that you can catch up. Okay, number 4. If a 42 and 9/10 foot tall flagpole casts a 253 and 1/10 foot long shadow, then how long is the shadow that a 6 and 2/10 foot tall woman casts? All right, again, we're comparing feet to the shadow. So we have 42 and 9/10 feet, and then the shadow is 253. So let's put that one there first. 42 and 9/10 over 253 and 1/10. It says how long is the shadow? So we don't know how long the shadow is. So we're going to put that X there if the woman is 6 and 2/10 feet tall. So that's our proportion. Let's cross multiply, and you would definitely need to use your decimals on this guy. All right, 42 and 9/10 times X gives us 42 and 9/10. 253 and 1/10 times 6 and 2/10 gives you 1,569.22. 1,569.22. Okay. Let's drop this down. 42 9/10 x is equal to 1569.22. Isolate my variable. What am I dividing both sides by? 42 9/10. 42 9/10. These two cancel out. I'm left with x equals. And when you get your answer, you're going to have 36. And I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth because these were in tenths. So I'm going to say x equals 36 and 6 tenths. Because it's 5, we'll go up to a 6. Okay? Oops, I forgot, and it is feet. Pause it so that you can make sure you have all. Okay, number 5. A 3-foot tall baby elephant standing next to a man casts a 7-foot shadow. If the man casts a shadow that is 14 feet long, then how tall is he? Again, we're doing feet to shadow for our ratio. Let's set up our proportion. So we have a 3-foot tall baby elephant casts a 7-foot shadow. So 3 to 7. If the man casts a shadow that is 14 feet, we're going to put the 14 here. And we don't know how tall he is, so we're going to put the variable there. Again, you can use any variable. Draw our butterfly wings. Antenna. 3 times 14, 42. 7 times x, 7x. Bring this down. 42 equals 7x. Isolate my variable. What am I dividing both sides by? Of course, 7. What's 42 divided by 7? 6 equals x. X equals 6. What unit of measure? 6 feet. We'll pause before we do our last one to find the missing angle. Okay, number 6. What is the measure of the missing angle? So, if I was to cut this small one out, put it in here, this 20 will match. This 20, this 80 will match. That 80. So this x is going to match what? That 80. Okay? Now, if you didn't know that, we know that the sum of triangles, the angles of a triangle, angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180 degrees. So because we knew that 80 plus 20 gives us 100, knowing what I know, I could take this 180, subtract the sum of those two given angles, and I will still get 80 degrees for that. Okay? We'll need to know that before we finish this unit, but that's just a little throw in to give you a little advance. Right, so we have finished our notes for practice and practical. You're now to go and submit this to show me that you've completed it, and then go back to Canvas, take the quizzes, similar figures quizzes, and then you will continue working on the classwork practice from Wednesday, March 22nd. Just go back to that Wednesday and click on that and continue working on that. All right, guys, have a great Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday, and I will see you in the morning. Have a great day.